Welcome, everybody, to an Edge Extra. My name is Adam Asher. Zanne from Where Gals Wander is joining us again today. Zanne, how are you? And
Okay.
how was the loneliest road in America?
I survived. So it was an amazing trip.
How long did it take you when you go on a trip like that? What is it, 300 miles, 400 miles, something
It's
like that?
almost 400. It's like
Okay.
368. Yep.
Favorite part of the trip? What was it?
Oh, probably the hot springs just outside of Austin. We took a little dirt road, off-road trip and reached some hot springs out in the desert and just had an opportunity to jump right in and had the whole place to myself, watching the sunset over the mountains, had some wild horses and burros come running through. It was just an amazing moment.
What are some of the things you have to see if you?
You have to see. So Carson City, there's Lake Winnemucca, which is actually over the California border, but it's about an hour drive. Just amazing mountains, hiking. They have wildflowers that are 5 feet tall. It's an amazing place to see. Next would be the Singing Sand Springs in the Sands recreational area. It's 6 foot high sand dunes, or I'm sorry, 6 story high sand dunes that actually sing. And there were sand buggies and just all sorts of outdoor adventures going on there. Next stop was, oh gosh, the shoe tree along Highway 50, where people stop and apparently throw their shoes up to the tree. It's quite a sight to see. I have a couple of posts of that up on wheregalswander.com. And then following that, we did the hot springs and some off-roading, landed in Kingston, hit the town there, and then the next morning drove through Eureka, which is known as the friendliest town on the loneliest road in America, and then ended up in Ely, which is known for the first original steam engine and just has a town where you can kind of step back in time and actually ride on the railroad, other outdoor adventures, hit Great Basin National Park, and we went in Lehman Caves, which was also really cool. So we did all that in the course of about 2 days.
For those that are watching and listening who haven't had the chance, highly recommend going to Zanne's website. It is wheregalswander.com.
Yeah.
And certainly at this point in time, if you look at some of the more recent posts, you'll see at least a couple that deal with your trip down the longest road, the loneliest road in America. So there's several posts there, kind of different angles that you've taken, and you're a great writer and you convey all that so well. So highly recommend that people go check that out, wheregalswander.com. My question to you would be, what has the response been?
It's actually been surprising how much of a connection and how much outreach has happened since I took the trip and started writing the articles. I've had great feedback from Carson City and Ely just about all the different aspects there are to do in those different areas. But I think at the core of it, there's something that just resonates with people watching this road trip and getting back to the heart of America and where it comes from. I had a chance to speak with a couple of other folks, yourself, initially before the trip, and then recently did an interview with the Global Travel Channel as well. And having a chance to just have individuals reach out to me and kind of ask questions or want more information. There's a huge demand for more photos from Middlegate, which is known as the middle of nowhere, Nevada. So I'll be doing a post on that too. But I think, it's a unique experience, and it's so unlike anywhere else that you can visit and just have that full adventure on the road. It kind of evokes a sort of nostalgia, I think.
Wheregalswander.com. You launched it in, okay, let me see if I can remember here. I think it was May 2017.
April.
April, okay. April 2017. And it was right about the same time that I was launching theedgeofadventure.com. And that's actually how you and I met, was just through social media, realizing that there were, it was evident that there were certain things that were important to you and to wheregalswander.com. And I think you must have felt the same way about Edge, as I call it. Where Gals Wander, when you started it, what was the objective, and what have you learned in the last 2.5 years as you've taken this journey?
The objective was really to focus on that question, is there more to life? And how do you go about discovering what that is and what it means to you? So it's really been about how I've taken the opportunity of relocating to California and leaving that old world that I had behind in Illinois and just embracing every opportunity that I have to explore what it means to me, to what explore what it means living in California now, having this new life, what it means in terms of having personal connections and being able to share that both with JD, who's my partner on this, as she has going through her own journey similarly now in Phoenix, so with a broader audience as well. And so with Edge, you have such a connection in terms of having a purpose and wanting to make a difference with your travel and being able to go out there and you're a bit more of a risk taker than I am in terms of some of the dangerous adventures that you've gone on. But at the end, you always take us with you on those adventures, Adam. And I guess that's what resonates with me when I have Where Gals Wander is we also invite people to join us. And I think it's kind of a good balance in terms of the two, you know, getting the thrill-seeking adventure with you. And for me, it's more a little more introspective.
You know, as we've been on this journey, as you've built in the last 2.5 years, as you've built Where Gals Wander, and as I've worked to build the Edge of Adventure, you have reminded me on several occasions just to remember. You've reminded me that, hey, look, the building of these things and the challenges that we face along the way and the tough questions we have to ask when you're thinking, okay, I've got this idea and I've got this brand and I'm trying to build it and I want it to matter and I want it to be effective. As we face different challenges along the way, you have been the one so many times to remind me, hey, remember that is an adventure in and of itself.
It is.
And it's good to kind of keep that in mind when, as I know people who follow you and follow Edge, they're building their own projects. They're building their own brands or their own businesses. And these things aren't easy. I mean, when you're trying to create something that doesn't exist and build it into something that is real and matters, I mean, you come up against barriers and discouraging times as well as encouraging times. Talk to me, if you don't mind, about that journey for you. Give some advice to the person out there who is working hard to build something.
Yeah, I think the biggest struggle is just going back to the question about who am I and who do I want to be and how do I want to appear to other people? And I think it always just comes back to being yourself and realizing that really the brand is you. You know, there is something authentic about just being who you are and showing all the different aspects of your life and what that means in terms of your journey as a whole. I love the behind the scenes footage that you've been sharing with Edge and just showing just how much you're enjoying the adventure, even off camera, quote unquote. I think that with Where Gals Wander, we also just like to be authentic and just be ourselves. We're not trying to be the glam or Instagram models. We're not trying to make ourselves out to be more than we are. We're ordinary people with regular struggles, just like everybody else. And we're just trying to find some sense of positivity in that on a day-to-day basis and hoping to inspire someone else. That's all.
Well, you certainly do that. And I can testify to it because I discovered you guys when we first got connected back in early 2017. And over the last 2 years, you guys have grown so much. So brag a little bit.
All right.
Where are you in terms of like your following? Tell me about Twitter. You guys are amazing on Twitter. Your Instagram is an incredible following. Talk to me about that. And what's the difference in those? I mean, what's the difference in the viewership or the following on those different platforms?
Well, I think it's pretty evident that Twitter and Instagram are different from an engagement standpoint, right? When I go on Twitter, and we are just under 15,000 followers now, it's much more engaging. It's much more me being snarky and sarcastic and,
I've
just
never
having a
seen
bit of
that.
fun.
I doubt that. Mm-mm.
I like to make fun of your beard a lot on Twitter. So it's just me, just being, just being me in the moment. Um, on Instagram, people are going to glance at it for 3 seconds and decide if they like it or not. So it's much more about the photograph. And on Instagram, we have about 5,200 followers now. It's a slower climb, but hey. And then on Pinterest, it's even less than 3 seconds. It's that 1 second glance. But, amazingly, we get a lot of engagement on that. We have about 3,000 people a month that engage, meaning that they click on our photo, they go to our website. We have about 100, I think as of this morning, it was over 100,000 views per month on our Pinterest account as well. So, yeah, I mean, we're getting out there, So obviously there's something out there that's resonating with some people. And really that's all I ask for.
Many people will, of course, everybody has their favorite. I guess they have their favorite platform. They like one platform over the other. I hear a lot of negative talk about Twitter sometimes. The people they don't get Twitter, they don't understand it. Um, and I think in the early days, I fell into that category as well. I didn't get it, right? But gone are those days, because if you really are willing to engage and you're willing to be yourself and share a little bit about who you are and respond to people genuinely, Twitter is where you come across more easily. You come across new people. And it continues to amaze me, the number of true, genuine followers and friends. And I mean, you could call them fans. Fans feels like an unfair word, but I,
Travel trial.
yeah, the travel tribe. I mean, I prefer to call them friends. I mean, people who connect with the brand, they like it. And I'm, I find that Twitter is extremely important for that. And some of the other platforms are a little more closed off, and it's harder to discover new things,
Mm-hmm.
which you can strategically to try to make it available. But Twitter there's something really fun about Twitter.
There
And
is.
and you guys at Where Gallus Wander, Zanne, you do a fantastic job of being entertaining and sharing the story and sharing some snarkiness. And I think it's still, Twitter's a little more open for humor and responses as well. So do you have any other road trips planned anytime soon?
I do. But first, let me say that on Twitter this morning, what I did is I posted some of my favorite roadside attraction moments that I've seen over the road trips from the last 2 years. So I think my tweet that went out this morning is me posing with the Seven Mountains in Vegas, me posing with an alien, and me sticking my head in a dinosaur mouth with the caption, what the heck is Zan doing now? And that's really the collection of my latest posts that I have out there. For the next road trip, we have a couple of things lined up. One is JD and I are going to take a road trip up Pacific Coast Highway
Oh,
from Los
yeah.
Angeles up to sort of the Big Sur, Carmel, Monterey area. So excited to go.
Yeah. Just, I don't care what temperature it is in LA where you guys are. Be sure you bring a jacket on this trip, because by the time you get a little farther north, it gets a little chilly up there. But you're gonna have a fantastic time. So, okay, that's wonderful. So, yeah, road trips. Would you say they're important?
I think road trips are the whole essence about what travel should be. Travel, if you're using it to explore and find a purpose and find meaning and that connection, it's hard to do when you're, up in the air or you're racing from one spot to another, just to run in and snap that picture and then run to your next spot and snap your picture. Road trips really let you process and think and get lost in the moment and be part of the scenery. It's the ability to be spontaneous and just pull off to the side of the road, or um, make that connection with those that you're traveling with, or the music that you have on, or just there's so many aspects of it in terms of exploration and discovery. And I think that's what travel's missing nowadays. It's missing that sense of curiosity.
But I agree with you. There's something very important and very authentic about the road trip. And if you have the time and you have the patience, the nice thing about a road trip is wherever you start and wherever you end up, how you get there. It's not as arbitrary as if you just land in an airport and go. You know what it's like. You know how far it is. You know how what it took to get there, and what life and geography is like between those two places. So, and that is something I certainly identify with. You have to fly, and don't don't want to don't want to have to drive everywhere. But I do enjoy when I get on the ground in a location. I one of the Give me a car and give me a map, and I'm happy, and I just want to go exploring
Well,
and get to know. Yeah,
I want to bring up this point because you have a thing with maps
true.
and you don't like GPS.
That is true. I use it. I use it all the time. But it's when you're just, you're going from point A to point B in a busy city. You have to uh, use it. It's quick. It's easier, and so certainly it's one of those modern conveniences that gets used. But I always feel like we're missing something. Certainly when you're going on a road trip, if you're going on an adventure of some kind. The first trips I ever took was, when I went to Mexico the first time. There, we didn't have
How
cell
old were
phone.
you?
The first time I went to Mexico, I was actually 15 years old.
15 by
15.
yourself.
Now that was at 15, I was with a group.
Okay.
And then at 16, I went by myself for the first time. Yeah.
You have to tell that story right now. Go.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. So I shared recently a little bit about what what it was that got me interested in Spanish. And if anybody's watching this, you can go to the YouTube channel or go to Facebook, and you'll see the video where I just began answering the question that somebody posed: Why is it that you speak Spanish? And the short answer to that is that it was amateur radio, shortwave radio, and I was hearing these stations from around the world, and that kind of sparked an interest in me about travel. And I was just a kid growing up in a southern town. I hadn't been anywhere. I but I began dreaming of that opportunity, and I was, I think, on my radio set that I had part of it I had bought, part of it I had built myself. What a nerd! And and I was talking to somebody at some point somewhere outside the United States, and my mom came upstairs, and again, I think I was maybe 14 or 15, and she said, "How would you like to go to Mexico? There's this group that's going to Mexico." And I said, "Where do I sign up?" So, long story. I don't want to bore everybody, but I did begin going initially to Mexico and working with groups that were doing some humanitarian projects, working to take care of people, help to make their lives better. And everything about it is uh, impacted me. And I think in hindsight, at this point in my life, I can point back to that time and say all of that was really a reflection of who I am. The travel and the maps, and having to use a map to get from Atlanta to pick a destination in Mexico, and the only thing you have is your vehicle and a map. And to be able to do that, there's something about that is far more authentic and real and rugged than just plugging an address into a phone and doing whatever the phone tells you. So, okay, I'll go back to that. What I like about the map is
Yeah.
um, you're still on an adventure. And when you're following GPS, you're just doing what a robot tells you to do. And I like the fact that I'm involved in the process. I have to interpret it. And I have to think, what are the variables? How old is this map? Are the roads likely to be consistent, or is there going to be a new highway? Maybe there's a new highway. Let's hope there's a new highway. That kind of thing. Anyway, so I'm kind of droning on there, but yeah, that's why I like maps. And the first real significant road trip that I took, certainly as an international road trip, was to Mexico.
And this is before phones or any of that.
Right, right.
Yeah. So sure. Okay.
My experience was um, that's what it was. I mean, I went, and just the opportunity to be there, to be learning and perfecting Spanish, and to be seeing the geography, and to be getting to know the people and learning about the culture. Uh, there's nothing else that ever makes me feel any more alive, Zan. That is that's what I like to do. And to be on the ground where my boots are touching the ground in some place I've never been, I still am not over that feeling.
Yeah.
And it does not matter where it is, if it just is a very significant feeling for me. So not to get overly metaphorical, but there's something about it when your boots, you can hear the sound of the dirt road beneath your boots, and you're like, I've never been here before, and I'm discovering new things and meeting new people. I'm alive, and I'm never more alive than in a moment like that.
Let's talk about those boots for a moment,
Okay.
because the boots are part of sort of who you are in
Signature.
that way.
Yeah.
And they are significant. I mean, you talk about the boots with passion because of what they represent for you and through the journeys that you've had. But for anyone who doesn't know, tell them a little bit about those boots that you have.
Well, the very first pair of boots that I remember, I think I was maybe 3 years old. And it's funny, you wondered how our people, we are who we are from the beginning. And even at age 3, if I were to show you those pictures, and I have to look them up, it's the funniest thing you've ever seen. I mean, I was in shorts and cowboy boots and basically a Super Atom cape.
Okay, so we
Yeah,
we need those photos and we need them up on social media.
right. Sure you do. That's pretty scary,
Yeah.
but it just goes to
I'm
show,
gonna
like,
hold you to that now,
yeah.
though.
It's like, yeah, I mean, I liked boots and I thought of myself as a superhero from the beginning. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I think for me, boots are significant. I sort of feel like whatever you're wearing on your feet is kind of the foundation of the rest of what you're wearing. It sort of sets the tone. And I grew up in Georgia. I mean, I'm not going to say nobody wears boots, but it's not a super common thing. It's more of a Texas and Western thing. I spent a lot of time in Texas, going back and forth to Mexico, and that reminded me in those early years of how much I liked the swagger that came with a good pair of boots. Bought my first real pair of boots probably in 1993, 94. Bought them in Mexico, still have them, and I'll buy another pair anytime I can. But
Yeah.
they've got uh, they have to have a certain swagger to them. That's what they have to sort of say, yeah, that guy, yeah, those are the ones. I wear those.
And you have a hat with swagger to go with the boots.
Also, I think that probably gets back to, I thought I was interviewing you, Zanne. What happened here?
Well, you've
Um,
gone wrong.
turnabout.
I just tried to
Turnabout.
take control of this whole interview.
You,
So
you did. You did. Well, I appreciate ask. It gives me a chance to talk those things out. Yeah, I mean the hat. Um, I probably same sort of thing. Probably early on in life, there was something about um, the Western style hat that caught my caught my interest. Indiana Jones has the fedora, and I mean I get that, but that's not exactly my style either. And there's just it's sort of a part of the brand, I guess, now with the Edge of Adventure. But you got to be who you are. I mean, there's something like you said earlier, the authenticity. I'm not going to try to be somebody else. I am who I am, and the boots have become a part of who I am, and the signature hat means I'm on an adventure. Like, I don't wear that hat when I'm in the city,
mhm.
um, but when I put that hat on, I feel the transformation that all right, buckle up, let's go.
Yeah.
This is an Edge Extra. And if you care, my name is Adam Asher. I know you care about Zanne and Where Gals Wander, and it's great to have her on the show today. We talked about this. We wanted to catch up a little bit. I wanted to find out and share about her trip and have her share about the trip, and also chit chat a little bit more. I will say, good friends in life, when you go through good times and bad times and you're building something, it's really great to have friends. And Zanne is one of those friends for me who, despite the fact that we've never even met in person, just,
Although maybe in October we'll have
yeah,
coffee.
right. Yes. If you're here, let's definitely make that happen for sure. But I just want to express my appreciation for your friendship and say to everybody else out there that you need to value your friends. I mean, there's only going to be a few people that come along in your life that really and truly understand, kind of get you. And
Mhm.
when you come across somebody like that, uh, value that, because it's important. And no man is an island. We need each other in this journey. The fact of the matter is, there is more to life. And you
Mhm.
asked that question so poignantly in all that you do. And so, yeah, there is more, and you helped to talk about that, and you've been discovering that yourself. And I think that's a part of what draws people, men and women, into what you guys are doing. So keep up the great work. Everybody check it out, wheregalswander.com. And I guess what else, Zan? I guess that's probably it for now.
It for now. We're going to be looking for those pictures of Super Adam with the boots and the cape on social
Oh
media.
God, did I
So
say
I'm going to
that?
be
I
holding you
don't
to
know.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks again, Zan. Thanks for your friendship, and thanks for sharing about Where Gals Wander and your road trip, and also for giving me the opportunity to ramble on a little bit about me, because, I mean, Lord knows I like to talk about me. Treasured
Always a pleasure.
opportunity. All right. Thanks, Zan.
All right.